We are back with some more Candice Owens. So if you guys enjoyed the video, make sure you like, share, subscribe, even leave a comment in the comment section. Let me know what you think about the video. And with that said, let's get into it.
And now for a brief history of slavery. Here's the first thing you need to know. Slavery was not invented by white people. It did not start in 1619 when the first slaves came to Jamestown. It existed before then. It did not start in 1492 when Columbus discovered the New World. In fact, when the intrepid explorer landed in the Bahamas, the native Taino tribe hoped that he would help them defeat their aggressive neighbors, the Caribs. The Caribs enslaved the Taino and, on occasion, served them for dinner. Slavery existed in Africa, Asia, and the Middle East. The word slave actually comes from the Slavs of Eastern Europe. Millions of them, all white by the way, were captured and enslaved by Muslims in the 9th century and later by the Ottoman Turks. Slavery existed when the Roman Empire controlled the Mediterranean and most of Europe from the 1st through the 5th centuries. Slavery existed when Alexander the Great conquered Persia in the 4th century BC. It was so common that Aristotle simply considered it natural. The slave master model was just how the world operated in the great philosopher's day. Slavery existed during the time of the ancient Egyptians 5,000 years ago. As far back as we can go in human history, we find slavery. As renowned historian John Steele Gordon notes from time immemorial, slaves were a major item of commerce. As much as a third of the population of the ancient world was enslaved. Here's the second thing you need to know. White people were the first to formally put an end to slavery. In 1833, Britain was the first country in the history of the world to pass a Slavery Abolition Act. They were quickly followed by France, who in 1848 abolished slavery in her many colonies. Then, of course, came the 13th Amendment in the United States Constitution. After centuries of human slavery, white men led the world in putting an end to the abhorrent practice. That includes the 300,000 Union soldiers, overwhelmingly white, who died during the Civil War.
Wow.
Now, am I saying that this makes white people better than anyone else? Of course not. My purpose here is to simply tell the truth, and the truth is that human history is complicated. No one, regardless of skin color, stands guiltless. Yet today we are never told to consider the murderous Persian Empire or the cannibalism of indigenous tribes of North and South America or the heinous actions under the imperialistic Muslim, Chinese, Mongol, or Japanese empires, to name just a few. Instead, we're told that slavery is a white phenomenon. And like all persistent lies, this lie spawns a bunch of other lies. On social media, I come across extraordinary depictions about how Africans lived like pharaohs before Europeans came and laid waste to their paradise. I wish any of this were true, but it's not. It's a fantasy. The truth is that Africans were sold into slavery by other Black Africans, and in many cases, sold for items as trivial as gin and mirrors. Whites didn't go into the interior and round up the natives. They waited on the coast for their Black partners to bring them Black bodies. The stark reality is that our lives had very little value to our ancestors. Here's the third thing you need to know. If you think slavery is a relic of the past, you're wrong. There are some 700,000 slaves in Africa today, right now. That's the lowest estimate that I could find. Other sources say there are many more. For context, that's almost twice as many slaves as were ever brought to the United States. Child soldiers, human trafficking, forced labor, these are the conditions that currently exist within the same sub-Saharan region where the transatlantic slave trade originated. African bodies are being sold today like they were sold then, and no, they are not being purchased by any country of white men. In fact, slavery, by any traditional definition, is exclusively practiced today within non-white countries. But we hear almost nothing about that. Just like we hear nothing about how slavery was universal until good people in Europe and America ended it 2 centuries ago. Why? because our so-called leaders, black and white, wouldn't profit from it. Black victimhood is nothing if not profitable. It elects politicians and funds racial grievance groups. And if Black Americans began to view themselves as partners in the American dream, if we embraced the patriotic spirit that holds all men are created equal, the patriotic spirit that is our real heritage, then the race hustlers would soon be out of business. And who wants that? I'm Candice Owens, author of Blackout for Prager University.
So much truth. And a lot of people still won't accept the truth or acknowledge, at least acknowledge the truth, because they say the truth hurts. And to me, I like to look at things from a different perspective, like how a lot of black people still, up to this day, still believe that white people have them oppressed. White people still, up to this day, won't allow black people to elevate. No. The sad truth is we hold our own selves down. And when you look at what Candace just said about African black tribes selling their own people, it's not too far-fetched. Look at what black people in America do to one another. I mean, do to their own brother that look just like them. They're in different gangs, Blood, Crips, and it goes on. BDs, it's a whole set, right? Look at Africa, different tribes, right? And what do the tribes do? They try to conquer each other. Who's the most dominant? What do the gangs and Bloods do? They try to conquer each other. Who's more dominant? They're taking each other's out. They're calling each other ops. They're seeing each other as enemies, not as brother and sister. There's no love. It's just hate. So it's not too far-fetched, because look what we do to one another. When you're in a gang, you hunt another black man down, taking another black man's life. So it's not too far-fetched. And I still think up to this day that all the soldiers in the Civil War that risked their lives to end slavery, they don't get it. They don't get the credit that they deserve. When you hear about reparations, those soldiers' family deserve reparations. They put their life on the line. People got to remember that not all white people agree with slavery. Not all white people agree with slavery or what slavery stands for. Just like a lot of black people don't agree with gang violence. It's the same thing. You guys, you understand what I'm saying? It's the same thing. It's all a mental game. This is all this is. Reverse psychology on you. That's what the left does. The left is painting that white and black picture, lying, like this, straight lying to your face, because it all has something to gain from it. It's all a distraction game that they play. They've been playing it for a very long time, and people still refuse to wake up. The gang violence. You see what's going on in California? Nobody wants to go to California. Even rich people are leaving California because the laws are pretty much benefiting the criminals. That's scary. Now the criminal is the victims, and the victims are the criminal. In California, 50 Cent was just talking about it a few days ago. Even he said he would never live in California. That's how bad it's getting. So hey, shout out to Candace, thanks to Candace for that. And it allowed in Africa, they would take the kids and raise them to be militants, raise them to be soldiers. It's a scary thought. And I always heard about the rumors that there was still slavery going on in Africa, but I never knew, thanks to this video. I was curious, like, can it still be? Because when I watched Thomas Sowell's video, Thomas Sowell is the one that opened my eyes to a lot of this stuff. And when Thomas Sowell's video, he was saying the British had to intervene. Even after slavery was abolished, they still had to intervene and try to stop the Africans from selling their slaves. Even after it was abolished, they were still trying to sell their own people. That is a scary thought. It goes to show, just like Candace said, how let's review one another. Review each other, especially these days in time. Review each other less than anything. There's less than material things. People gotta remember, man, you got one life and one life only. There's no multiple lives. There's no coming back. There's no responding. People are so heartless now. But I do think those soldiers that put their lives on the line to abolish slavery deserve reparations. If you're saying black people, black Americans deserve reparations. The soldiers should get that first. They put their lives down, and that you can't go wrong. That's why you can't go around calling everybody a racist, because you never know one of the soldiers, that could have been one of the soldiers' family, from one of their ancestors that helped free the slaves. That's why you can't go around calling all white people racist. It's wrong, because not all of them are racist. Just like not all black people are thugs and gangsters. No, the majority of black people are really good black people. It's just few that makes all the noise. Just like it's like a few of those white people that makes all the noise with the racism. The majority of white people just living their regular day life. And that's the honest truth. Give me guys think about this in the comments, man. Until then, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Peace out. You guys have a blessed day.